sorry, just for clarity, is that just because there was an incorrect coding error? Or?
We had each store is given a unique code. We used a code that had been expired. Shouldn't have done that. And as a result, that triggered a full review of our network. We found there were...
Okay, but they're not suggesting there's serious breaches around money laundering?
No, we self-reported it straight away. We've had correspondence back and forth with Austrac, and last update we had was in August.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, how often do you report to Austrac?
So obviously we self-report anything
Yep.
has to be, as a general philosophy in dealing with regulators. Austrac visited Suncorp recently, looked at our reporting. We're generally satisfied, as I understand it, with the reporting that we're doing. So I think it's more up to Austrac to choose when they want to do that. But otherwise we report everything we need to report. We have a lot of controls in place. We looked at what happened at the CBA last year, tested ourselves against that we didn't have those sorts of limits on our ATMs, so it couldn't have happened. But nevertheless, we did the tests. Our board has asked both myself and the Group Chief Risk Officer for assurances following the items that have come to light in the last week or so. We've given them those assurances, but they've also asked for us to then do a further review and give them a complete report. So it's something that we take incredibly seriously at Suncorp.
How many people do you have in what's the name of the area of the bank that deals specifically with AML?
So we have a team called Customer Protect.
Okay.
Customer Protect.
How many people are in that?
34.
34. And so most of those people, what else do they function apart from?
Typically fraud.
Yep.
So external investigation, which is typically fraud, scams, financial abuse, identity takeover. If I may just expand a little bit on the recent case versus Suncorp, we only use SWIFT for overseas transactions. We don't have a product like the product that appears to have created most of the issues for Westpac. And SWIFT has a lot of what they call typology, the patternistic analysis already in it. Below that level, our fraud software is from a global expert in fraud. That also has other typology tests and patternistic analysis capability for not just fraud. We take the topologies that come from places like Austrac and make sure it's in there. Where we have something that pops on our business, may not be to do with AML, but could be fraud or it could be financial abuse, and it wasn't detected by the software. The team look at the patterns, look for any patterns of behaviour, and if they can see patterns, they then test those patterns against the rest of our database.
So to what extent is using those off-the-shelf products an advantage for you, and to what extent could large institutions that build their own bespoke software actually be getting themselves into strife?
If I can, I probably wouldn't comment on the latter part because we don't think of it as an option for us. We participate through SWIFT. SWIFT has it all built in. Our provider on the fraud side is BAE. They're global experts. So, we're a small organisation, much better to partner with people who do this at scale globally. Unfortunately, this activity is sadly one of the true global industries around the world, and it makes sense to me to partner with global experts.
Has there been any change in your practices since the Westpac money laundering revelations came to light?
Look, our board certainly asked us for significant reassurances, and that forced us to relook at it. We have gone through each step of what we understand, bearing in mind at the moment we've been able to read Austrac's statement plus what's in the media. We don't have other information, but we're confident in our practices. We've retested ourselves or relooked at the processes we have at the front of our business. So the other avenue for AML CTF is obviously over-the-counter transactions and cash transactions, and made sure we did a lot of training, put controls in. We have quality assurance. We mystery shop as well to make sure we're following.
Sorry, mystery shop.
So I got that wrong. So mystery shops, I made a mistake there. We do tests on ourselves to make sure we're doing what we need to do, but not mystery shopping on that particular one.
Sorry, I quite like the metaphor.
I'm not sure I completely understand. You're saying you do randomised tests?
Sorry, I made a mistake. We don't do randomised testing or mystery shopping on the AML side. I've confused that with something else. What we do is check our transaction records against our reporting, and then quality assure the record keeping that the team is meant to keep.